So you want to shoot rap videos, huh? Don't. Seriously, it'll f you in the head. Just kidding. My entire film career from the start began with rap. I have worked with a lot of the rappers that you see today, and I have the process down to a science. One time, I had a hip-hop artist show up to one of my videos 11 hours late. He's literally one of my idols, one of the biggest rappers in the world. I tell him the idea, and he's like, that shit's stupid. That shit's stupid. Sometimes it's just because they don't understand. They can't like read your mind. And then when he saw the video, he's like, oh my God, that shit is hard. You have to understand who they are. You have to understand where they're from. You have to understand what they like. You need to understand the culture. My entire film career from the start began with rap. It began with hip hop artists. It began with, jumping into the scene. And it's really what has brought me here today. I have worked with a lot of the rappers that you see today, and I have the process down to a science. Hip hop and the music industry as a whole has changed a lot since I started. But throughout my years of directing videos for all these artists, no matter who it is, whether they're an OG or a new artist, they generally all have similar expectations and standards. So if you love hip hop, if you love filmmaking, and you really want to get into shooting rap videos, this is going to be your ultimate guide. Let's jump into it. First, unless you're working with an artist as tasteful as Donald Glover or Kendrick Lamar, come up with a great idea, but don't overcomplicate it because you might have to pivot on your set. And this applies to any genre of music. It's not just hip hop or rap. What you have to do for any video, for any music video, is you come up with a treatment, and a treatment looks differently for everybody. But a treatment is generally a concept overview of what the video is going to be. So some people make PDFs. Some people make little digital slideshows through like Adobe InDesign with little GIFs and animations. But the overall objective of the treatment is the same no matter how you create it. It's breaking down the video from the concept to story beats to wardrobe, color palette, etc., etc. And it's up to you to decide how extensive you want to go with it. Like for commercials, your treatments are much more extensive usually than for music videos. Music videos, you're more just talking about the concept, the vibes, some references. And then sometimes you'll dive into other things like color palette, wardrobe, etc. It just depends on the project. But what my point here is that the artist you shoot with, especially if they're a rapper, there's a chance they're going to come to set and they might change the idea right then and there. They might kill that insane scene you had with that insane cinematography at that crazy angle. They might just kill it. They might say, nah, I don't want that. And even if you try to explain it very clearly in your treatment and you're like, wait, but it was in here the whole time. Did you not read it? Odds are they probably didn't read it because most artists don't read the treatments. Most artists do not read treatments that you submit. Most artists, most clients are just looking at photos. Like if you pull some cool images from Pinterest or from your favorite movie, they're probably looking at that. They're not even reading the text, especially if you're making it too complicated. Like you got to put yourself in the position of the client. Like if you're submitting a video for a rapper, like if you're submitting to a rapper who's super popular, who's super busy doing a million things, there's probably no shot they even have time to read all the content of your treatment. Unless it's someone who's known for their high concept videos like a Kendrick Lamar, for example, right? And so if this happens, you need to have a plan B, you need to have a plan C, you need to have a plan D. That's probably enough. Let me explain some scenarios on why or how you need to have these backup plans, okay? So one time, I had a hip hop artist show up to one of my videos 11 hours late. Okay, just to give you context, a shoot day is typically 12 hours, right? Sometimes it goes a little longer. Some people have longer days, 13, 14 hours, whatever. But on average, a film shoot is 12 hours, okay? So the artist came 11 hours late. I was sick. I ran out of things to shoot. And at a certain point, I'm like, okay, we can't just keep our crew waiting. They got to go home. We got to think of other things. We got to change the concept. And I also had to hire a different crew to come, like a B unit. Like in football, you know how there's like a second string? Like basically my first string had to leave because I didn't have I ran out of time. Their day was over. So I had to bring in my B unit. I had to find a B unit at the 11th hour. I had to call them, bring them in, and I had to like pivot my idea because if my artist is now this late, I can't shoot everything I'd wanted with them, right? So I had to cut some scenes. I had to combine some scenes. I had to take elements like this video was very art heavy. So we had a lot of set builds and props and things like that. And so I had to essentially like marry different worlds together to make it work, and that's just the nature of the beast, Another time, this is even crazier. Another time I had a video with a huge artist. I can't say names. I'm not that type of guy, right? But I had a big rapper. They were scheduled for a shoot and they basically missed the day of shooting, right? So we had 1 day shoot. They didn't come. We're like, okay, we'll talk to their team. We'll see if we could get them there for a pickup day, right? So right then and there, I had to then figure out how do I get them into the scene? Because one of the scenes I shot was like a party scene. And I was thinking, how am I going to get this guy in this party scene if I can't afford to get all these extras and recreate a party somewhere else? How would I recreate a party scene? So then I'm like, okay, maybe I won't incorporate him in the party scene, but maybe I'll like insert him into this other scene with like a green screen. So I had to pivot. So he told me this. He said, you can definitely get me for the pickup shot. Come to my studio where I record, bring a green screen, and you can shoot me there. I was like, all right. So we go to his studio like the next week. I set up the green screen. I have a little crew with me. We set up the green screen. We set up camera. We're ready to get the shot, right? And we're waiting around. We're sticking around. Hour 1 goes by. Nothing. Hour 2 goes by. I hit up his guy who was there with him, like his friend. He comes in and out of the studio. I'm like, bro, is this artist going to come out? He's like, yeah, he's just watching a movie. He's watching like a Leonardo DiCaprio movie. I don't know if it was like Wolf. I think it was Wolf of Wall Street he was watching. He's like, and I was like, damn, Wolf of Wall Street is so long. Like he picked that movie to watch tonight while we need to film him. So he was watching Wolf of Wall Street. I'm waiting. Clock is ticking. Hour 3 comes around. I see his friend again. I'm like, hey, like, is he coming? He's like, yeah, the movie's almost done. Hour 4 comes around and I'm like, all right, I don't think we're going to get this. And then I see the artist come out and he's dressed. I'm like, oh, you look great. You look perfect. Let's film your scene real quick. He's like, oh no, I'm going to go to the game real quick. I'm like, game? What do you mean game? He's like, yeah, I'm going to go to the Clippers game real quick. I'm like, you're going to a Clipper game right now? Like, we got to get your shot, bro. We've been here for 4 hours. He's like, no, I'll be back. Like, I'll be quick. And I'm like, all right, like, if you're going to the Clipper game hadn't even started yet. So I'm like, is he just going to go and stay for the first quarter? And we were not even close to downtown where the game was. Like I was in Hollywood and he was going to the Clipper game in downtown. I'm doing the math in my head. I'm like, okay, even if he leaves, it takes him like 45 minutes to get there and stay for a quarter or 2 quarters and then come back. That's still like another 2 to 3 hours of waiting. So he left. I waited for like another hour and I knew he wasn't coming back. We called label, we called management. We're like, dude, this is not happening tonight. And so we had to reschedule again. So I go back 2 days later to the studio again. I set up the green screen again. This time I don't have money to keep hiring a crew. So now it's like me and one other guy setting up a green screen, getting this shit ready. And the artist comes. He actually shows up and we shoot. He gives us like 2-3 takes and he's like, thank you. And we're like, thank you. But anyways, this goes back to my point of having to pivot. Like I had an elaborate scheme to shoot this guy the first day and a party setup and a bunch of other cool setups. And it basically had to dwindle down to like a plan, not even a plan B or C, like a plan D of me filming him on a green screen and just comping stuff in post later. Just figuring out how to comp it, make it look cool in post, So yeah, that was a really fun situation. And one other thing I want to note is that I had to shortlist it and be very fucking precise. I had to be very precise. I shortlisted everything. I knew exactly what I wanted to get with him so that I can knock him out on that pickup day, the second pickup day. I had to make sure I was like, okay, if this guy is this difficult to work with and he's just not giving me the time of day, I'm going to make sure I can knock out his scenes in 15 minutes, and I'm going to only get these shots. So I have my shot list, checked off each shot, and I'm like, all right, we're done. Moving on. Okay. The next thing you have to know when you're shooting rap videos is that your casting needs to be on point, okay? Your casting boils down to how they look on camera, how they act on camera, and their etiquette on set, not only with the crew, but of course with the artist and everybody around them, right? Now, first and foremost, let's talk about look. Let's talk about the superficial thing that everybody hates talking about, and even I hate talking about, but I want to talk about it. You can be catfished, okay? You can be catfished from casting, and it sucks, and it's uncomfortable. Like, I don't like having these conversations with my client about when they ask for a certain model that we want to cast, and the person shows up and it looks nothing like their photos. It's very uncomfortable. And I've been in that situation, and it pains me. So what I've learned to do with casting is, we vet them out really well. So it depends on what the casting needs are. If I'm just looking for pretty faces, I'm going to make sure I don't just get a couple photos. I get their Instagram. I look at other videos they were in or other projects they were in. If I'm looking for, dialogue, I definitely need to see an acting reel of some sort or previous work they have. And I need to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence to vet them out properly. I had a shoot several years ago in Las Vegas, and we had a bunch of girls, and I was so excited because the artists were so happy and they look so pretty, and we're like, okay, we're gonna have the most epic shoot ever. And we pull up to set, and I get there, and I'm like, and I look at the artists. There's two artists. We're all looking at each other, and we're like, fuck. Like these girls don't. They're not. Did we cast? And then I'm looking at the casting sheet. I'm like, oh my God. Like, they look so different. Like, they catfished us. And I was looking, I'm like, damn, they face-tuned their faces. This photo is extremely edited. And like, look, I'm not trying to sound shallow. I don't want to sound shallow or disrespectful by any means. But when you're in a situation and your client has an expectation of a standard that you have for a certain type of model that they're looking for, and you don't provide that, it makes you look bad. Like, it made me and my casting director look really bad, and it was an odd circumstance. It's nobody's fault. To be honest, it was my fault, I think, at the end of the day, because I didn't do my due diligence to vet them out. But I learned a valuable lesson. I learned a very valuable lesson. The next thing that you need to know about working with rappers is that you need to strip your ego and develop very thick skin. So what happens with a lot of artists, again, is not just rappers, is that they have their own vision of how they might want things done, right? And us as filmmakers, as pretentious artists, we see things in a certain way. So there's like a clash, right? A lot of times there could be a clash. But what you have to realize is that sometimes artists have a different set of values than you do. And sometimes when they want something filmed a little more run and gun, or a little more, quote, like shitty and, not as polished or not as cinematic, it's because it resonates with their brand. And so you kind of have to make a decision as a filmmaker. Do I want to do these kind of projects? Do I want the quick bag? Do I want a little bit of money? Sure. But if you're going to do that job and if it doesn't align with your values, you have to learn to compromise your values, and you have to learn to just agree with the artist and stroke their ego a little bit. Literally stroke their ego, because you're not going to win if you try to clash with them. Not in that situation, And if you don't want to do those jobs and they don't resonate with you, don't do them, and find artists who will let you be creative and fulfill that artistic desire you have, And most importantly, don't be offended if you get insulted. Like, even if they say this idea is stupid, or this idea is horrible, or you're an idiot. Like, I've been told all those things from rappers. I literally had a rapper, again, really big rapper. I tell him the idea and he's like, that shit's stupid. that shit's fucking stupid. He said that to my face. And he's like one of my idols. He's literally one of my idols, one of the biggest rappers in the world. And he said that. And then when he saw the video, he's like, oh my God, that shit is hard. He's like, that is insane. I love it. So what I'm trying to say is like, don't take things personally. Sometimes rappers don't understand, your vision. And so even if they call you dumb, even if they say, you don't know what you're talking about, like sometimes it's just because they don't understand. They can't like read your mind, like as filmmakers, we have a different set of creative values and we have like our own vision. Our brain works a little bit differently. So we just have to be patient and understand that some people just don't see things in a certain way like we do. The next thing you got to know when you're shooting rap videos is that you need to understand the culture. Okay? Study the culture. 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 What do I mean by that? Well, if you're a white kid from the suburbs and you're trying to shoot a video with a dude who grew up in the trenches of Atlanta, you're going to have to put yourself in their world, You have to understand who they are. You have to understand where they're from. You have to understand what they like. You have to understand who they're surrounded by, who are their friends, who are their influences, who do they look up to. And you have to understand trends and things like fashion, because these are things that you may not have been exposed to growing up in your suburbs. I'm just saying, if you're a white kid from the suburbs, you were not exposed to these things. So you have to understand the culture, right? And the only way you understand the culture is by studying it. You see what I'm saying? So you can watch other rap videos. You can listen to interviews. You can listen to podcasts about them talking about their life and how they were, raised and what they like. And I actually, my favorite way to study the culture is just to watch videos a lot of times, Sometimes a 3-minute video can paint a picture better than a 2-hour interview can, it just depends. And this actually leads me to my next point. I just touched on this, and it's about trends in fashion, right? Like if you want to direct hip hop music videos, there's a big emphasis on what rappers and artists like to wear. Okay. And a lot of times you might be thinking, why are you spending this much money on clothes, but you're not putting that towards production? And it's because of flex culture. It's because of the culture of wanting to show people that you are affluent, that you are a person of status, that you have good sensibility, good taste, right? A lot of times it comes down to taste. So to them, to you as a filmmaker, you're going to be like, what the fuck, man? You just spent $10,000 on wardrobe. I could have used that for production. But to them, it's like, the value of the production doesn't matter as much as long as the clothes are being captured. You get what I'm saying? Now, if you have the best of both worlds, if you have a great production and you have great outfits, that's a match made in heaven, right? That's an amazing product. But sometimes you're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to have those resources. There's one video I had where I know that $75,000 went to wardrobe. Just wardrobe for one artist. $75,000. That included probably their stylist fee as well. But just wardrobe alone, $75,000. That was a good chunk of my budget, I believe it was like a little right around half of the budget maybe. So half for wardrobe and half for production, something like that. This is a long time ago. I can't exactly remember. But I remember a big chunk went to wardrobe, okay? And I remember the artist being so picky about how we captured them. They wanted us to, light them a certain way. They wanted us to make sure we got, certain sheen off the clothes, make sure we showed the chains a certain way. So that experience, while I was so pissed off that we could have used some of that money for production, it also opened up my eyes to the value and importance of, capturing them in clothes that make them feel good about themselves, like truly. An artist wants to feel their best on camera. So why not let them feel their best? Like, yeah, it's so whack that this t-shirt costs $20,000. It's fucking whack. But like, hey, if it makes you feel good, if it makes you feel like, if it makes you perform better, if it makes you feel like you're your best, then that's going to help me as a director get the best performance out of you. So I shouldn't be mad at that. I should just embrace it and understand it and learn to work with it, Otherwise, you're always going to get left behind, You're going to get left behind. You're going to be mad. You're going to be upset. You're going to be miserable every time. So instead of living miserably, why don't you just enjoy it, man? Enjoy it. Enjoy the process and learn to accept it, I kind of touched on this already. I'm going to just touch on this again. And it's an important thing I want to emphasize. It's that when you're working with rappers or any artist, don't take what they say personally. It's not personal. Nothing's personal. You remember, you're here to make art. It's not like we're out here trying to save the world or like cure diseases. We're literally making music videos. It's not that serious. Like, can you even believe that we're in a situation where we're shooting music videos for a living? Whether you aspire to do that or you're doing that as I'm speaking, like we're doing this or aspiring to make this a career. That's ridiculous. Like, imagine being a labor worker in a third world country or like in a small village, and you have to, work in farms and fields, and you have insane, intense labor that pains you every day and barely pays you anything to scrape by and feed your family. Like, imagine being in that situation. And now with that perspective, rope yourself in and realize how lucky you are to be in a position of privilege, to be in a safe country, or to have shelter or water. You are privileged. And so when you realize that you're privileged, then you realize nothing's personal. You learn to not take things personally. And it's important to remember that. And the last thing that I want to emphasize for those who really want to work with rappers and get into the hip hop music video scene is that you need to have fun. If you're shooting rap videos, you need to have fun. And you need to make it a great experience for your crew, for the artist, and of course for yourself. Make it memorable for everyone. Make it memorable for your artist so that your artist leaves that set feeling so excited, not only about the footage you got, but about the experience they had. Allow them to have fun. You want them to love working with you so they can come back and work with you again and again and again, right? Most of my repeat clients come from the fact that I was not only able to deliver a good video, but also had some fun in the process. Even in the edit room sometimes. Sometimes the artist would join me in the edit room and we just have fun. Like, you can make the process fun. And if you make it fun, you're going to retain a lot more clients. And I hate using the word client. Like, I don't even look at these as clients. I look at them as friends, as collaborators. They're not clients. I mean, I get paid from them, but ultimately it's deeper than being a client. I think you get the point, My point here is that if you have a good creative relationship with an artist, it will take you so far and it will create so much longevity in your career. You get me? I think you get it. But yeah, that's it. This is my guide on how to shoot rap videos. I touched on a lot of interesting different angles here. I mean, I could go way more in depth, and I might even make this a series and, talk more about it, maybe give you more tips and pointers. But to me, these were a lot of the most important things that I think helped me shoot rap videos. And I'm still doing them from time to time. I still love collaborating and working with new artists. And I'm just always taking each opportunity as a blessing and making the most of it. I think having fun for me is so important now. I used to be so stressed out, and I realized that when I have fun with things, even like today, like with this podcast, I'm having so much fun with this. And just by infusing that joy and that fun, it just allows you to, love your career even more. You can genuinely choose to love your career or hate it. It's a choice, So make that choice. Make it fun and enjoy it. Thanks for watching, y'all. I need to get this show more popping. I'm going to be honest. I need this show, to climb the ladder, to climb the ranks, climb the charts a little more. And the only way I could do that is if you subscribe. So if you're on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're on Spotify or Apple or any other of the podcasting platforms, please give me a 5-star rating. Please download the episodes, share the episodes. I think on Spotify you can leave comments now. I just need as much support and engagement as possible so I can keep this thing going. Your support means the world to me. I'm so lucky that you're here on this journey with me. And I'm just thankful. I'm so thankful. I'm so fortunate. And I really love doing this. And I want to keep doing this forever. Seriously. Thanks y'all for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. And most importantly, I want to give a big round of applause to ourselves. Thanks for watching, y'all. Peace.